The Race, Part 1. Recently, we read a story about a monkey. The story was written by the Greek writer Aesop. The story had a moral. The moral was that sometimes people do things too quickly, without thinking. They wish to do good, but they hurt us instead. The following is another story with a moral. This is a story of two animals. The animals in the story are a turtle and a rabbit. Perhaps Aesop wrote this story, perhaps not. One day, a turtle, we shall call him Mr. Turtle, left his home to take a walk. It was a bright, sunny morning. Mr. Turtle kissed his wife goodbye and started out. He felt very well this particular morning. As turtles do, he walked very slowly. He had not gone far when he met a rabbit. Mr. Turtle knew this rabbit very well. He had met him many times before. He did not like this rabbit. This rabbit was sarcastic, and he always laughed at the turtle. "Where do you think you're going?" asked the rabbit. "I'm just taking a walk," said the turtle. "You? Taking a walk?" said the rabbit. He began to laugh very loud. "What's so funny?" asked the turtle. "With those legs of yours, you certainly can't walk very well, or very far," said the rabbit. "What's the matter with my legs?" "Nothing, except that I don't know whether you can call them legs or not. They are so short and so funny looking." Part 2. The turtle became very angry, but he did not say anything. He was thinking. Finally, he said, "I can walk and I can run just as well as you can, Mr. Rabbit." The rabbit laughed so loud that he could not answer. "Would you like to make a bet on it?" said the turtle. "We will run a race. I bet that I will win." "With those funny little legs?" said the rabbit, shaking with laughter. "I bet you a bottle of champagne and $10, said the turtle. The rabbit stopped laughing. "Are you serious?" he asked. "We will run from one end of Farmer White's field to the other," said the turtle. "Very well," said the rabbit. "Let's begin the race right away." "There's no hurry," said the turtle. "I haven't had my breakfast yet. My wife is also waiting for me, but I'll meet you at Farmer White's field at 11 o'clock. The rabbit finally agreed to this. Mr. Turtle started home. On the way home, he thought to himself, "What an important person the rabbit thinks he is just because he can run What an important person the rabbit thinks he is just because he can run fast. But this time, I will teach him a good lesson." He arrived home, kissed his wife, and said to her, "Hurry, my dear, dress quickly and come with me. You have to help me. I have just made a bet with Mr. Rabbit." "What kind of bet?" asked Mrs. Turtle. "I bet him a bottle of champagne and $10 that I can beat him in a race," said Mr. Turtle. "Are you crazy?" said his wife. "The rabbit is the fastest animal in the forest." "I know that," said Mr. Turtle. "But I also know that Mr. Rabbit is very stupid. I intend to win the race. Now hurry and get dressed, and let's not waste any more time." Part 3. On the way to Farmer White's field, Mr. Turtle explained his plan very carefully to Mrs. Turtle. "Farmer White plowed his field yesterday," he said. "There are deep furrows from one end of the field to the other. Mr. Rabbit and I will run from one end of the field to the other. He will run in one furrow, and I will run in another furrow, so we will not be able to see each other as we run." "But what do I have to do with all this?" asked his wife. "It is very simple," explained Mr. Turtle. "You and I look exactly alike. No one can tell us apart. Mr. Rabbit and I will start our race from one end of the field, but I will run only a few feet. Then I will lie down in the furrow. He will not see me. You will wait for us at the other end of the field. You will lie down and hide in the same furrow in which I will run. When you hear the rabbit coming, you will get up quickly and say, 'Here I am.' He will think that I am you. He will also think that I have won the race." Suppose he wants to run a second race, asked his wife. Then you will begin the race, and I will be at my end to finish it. It is very simple, said Mr. Turtle. Mrs. Turtle then went ahead to the other end of the field and waited. Mr. Turtle had told her very carefully in which furrow to wait. He and Mr. Rabbit were now at the other end of the field. They were getting ready to begin the race. You will run in that furrow all the way, said Mr. Turtle, indicating a furrow a few feet away, and I will run in this one. All right, said Mr. Rabbit. Let's go. Part 4. 1, 2, 3. They were off. After a few feet, the turtle lay down in the furrow and hid. The rabbit raced ahead. When he came to the other end, Mrs. Turtle got up and said, "Here I am." Mr. Rabbit was very surprised. He could not believe his eyes. "How strange," he said. Then a little later he added, "Let's run another race." They ran a second race. The rabbit was even more surprised when Mr. Turtle was again the first to arrive at the other end. "Let's run again," said the rabbit. "It's all right with me," said Mr. Turtle. "We can run races all day long if you like." Finally, they ran 83 races. Each race ended in the same way. The rabbit became more tired and more tired, but he continued to race. At last, he was exhausted. At the end of the 83rd race, he rolled over on the ground and died. Mr. Turtle was a little surprised at this result, but he was not unhappy about it. He had never liked the rabbit anyway. He and Mrs. Turtle went home together, very much pleased with themselves. The moral of this story is very clear. There are really 3 morals. First, do not laugh at anyone inferior to you. You may prove to be really the inferior one. Second, when you marry, be careful to marry someone exactly like yourself. Third, if you are a turtle, be sure to marry another turtle.